Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, friends from the media, fellow Ghanaians, good evening. With your leave, today, as Otiko said, is the Omowo Day for my wife's people, the Osu people. So you'll allow me. Inshahi, Kenshayo, Osubi, Minya Nyefe, Afio, Afi. And to the members of the Muslim community, Barka da Salah. This event was supposed to have taken place 2 weeks ago, but was postponed at my request when President Mills passed away. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Ghanaians should be proud that together we are building a democratic state, Ghana being governed by the rule of law. We have just gone through a unique period in our history, dealing with the death in office of a sitting president. When put to the test, our democratic institutions rose to the occasion. Transfer of the presidency was peaceful, smooth, and constitutional. And we should all be encouraged by the way the system worked. It strengthens those of us who have given our lives for democracy to flourish in Ghana. But it shows that constitutional democracy is the best system of governance for our beloved nation. We must cherish and protect these precious democratic values, which form the basis for the unity and progress of our country. We may have our differences, but what joins us together is more important. We are one Ghana. I'm totally committed to working to ensure peace and stability for the Ghana project. Congratulate our new president, new vice president on their assumption of office, and wish them well in their brief caretaker role. The most important responsibility, their most important responsibility to Ghana is to ensure that we have a peaceful, free, and fair election in December. Ghanaians expect nothing less. My party and I are totally devoted to Ghana's peace and stability, as we have always been. We famously demonstrated this in 2008, when despite the narrowest of losing margins, we did nothing, jeopardized the stability of the nation, lived up to my pledge of not allowing a single drop of Ghanaian blood to be shed. Pray to God that all other stakeholders, especially the Electoral Commission, ruling party, and the security agencies, also make a genuine commitment to work towards a peaceful election, one that is free from fraud, intimidation, harassment, and violence. I thank the IEA for organizing this event and commend them on their continuing commitment to the development of democracy in our country. Welcome this opportunity to talk about my party's programs for the December election. Over the last 2 years, I've been going around the country on my various tours, meeting Ghanaians in their homes, workplaces, farms, markets, lorry stations, at organized functions, and sometimes at unscheduled stops. And I've heard their stories and seen their condition. Read the numerous comments on my Facebook page and in our newspapers and hear comments on radio and television. What I see, hear, and read makes me more and more convinced that we have to change the way we do things and transform our economy into a new one. New economy that will help us give our children good education, create jobs, provide good health care, feed ourselves adequately, and give every Ghanaian an opportunity for a good life. I recall the sad story of a 17-year-old boy in Akwesimo, in Abetifi in the eastern region, who said he dropped out of school because his parents couldn't pay his senior high school education. This particular boy's story stays with me, mostly because of the sound of desperation in his voice. There are thousands and thousands and thousands like him. I met Osei Kwame, soprano, in Yanrianso Bekwai district in the western region. He's a cocoa farmer, and at age 42, he should be one of our success stories. But this is what he had to say. The cost of fertilizer and pesticides, coupled with the collapse of mass spray, making life very hard, unquote. At the Sango Beach here in Accra, fishermen were downhearted and frustrated. Their major complaints were about the increasing cost of fishing equipment and inputs. Outboard motors that cost 2,900 Ghana cedis in 2008 now cost 8,000 cedis in single-digit inflation Ghana. Esinam told me in Vako, in the Volta region, that her problem was the collapsing national health insurance scheme. She said, NHIS, Egblen. Young men and women everywhere I go are crying for jobs. They're desperate for someone to give them hope for a meaningful future. The black market trade in foreign currency is back as the cedi continues to fall against all major currencies. Business people complain of the rising cost of business, poor sales, lack of credit and support to grow their business. Ghanaians are clearly unhappy and dissatisfied with the conditions of their lives. And yet, town criers of NDC propaganda tell us we are living today in better times. My life has been about service to people. This has been my driving force as a lawyer, as a political activist against military rule, as a campaigner for human rights and democracy, as a member of parliament, as Attorney General, and as Minister for Foreign Affairs. In between these endeavors, I've also been in business and done reasonably well. 20 years ago, I was excited by the potential of mobile telephone and played a pioneering role in bringing the first mobile telephony company, Mobitel, to Ghana. Started an industry that has transformed the lives of millions of Ghanaians. As a lawyer, mentored many young people who are now among the leading lawyers of our country. It is these various roles and experiences that I believe in all humility have prepared me for the serious job of the presidency. My goal is to provide transformational leadership and help build a prosperous society which creates opportunities for all its citizens, rewards creativity and enterprise, honesty and hard work, a society where there's discipline and fairness, where people go about their lives in a free and responsible manner, society where there are safety nets for the vulnerable and decent retirement for the elderly. An open society protected by well-resourced and motivated security services, and where the rule of law works. For this to happen, Ghana needs effective leadership, which is honest, competent, and determined to deliver. A leadership of conviction, which is committed to fighting corruption and dedicated to the welfare and well-being of the Ghanaian. It is clear that corruption has become rampant in these last few years, robbing us of much-needed resources for our development. I am determined to fight corruption aggressively. And I can do so because I am not corrupt, I've never been corrupt, and will demand the same of my team. Accountability and transparency are the hallmarks of good governance. Ghana needs this. Ghana deserves this. And I, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, pledge to deliver this to the good people of Ghana. The people of this country have to be healthy if we are to make any meaningful progress in nation building. The last MPP government introduced the National Health Insurance Scheme to remove the constant fear of falling ill under the inhumane cash and carry system. It has been painful to watch the NDC government try its best to collapse the NHIS while struggling to implement their unrealistic one-time premium promise. Today, the fear of getting sick is back. The NHIS has been degraded and cash and carry is back. Fellow citizens, we will revive and restore confidence in the NHIS. Our goal is to achieve universal coverage of the NHIS for all Ghanaians. The MPP will spend more on public health education and primary health care. We shall expand health facilities and access the training of health workers. We have done it before, increasing it by 7-fold in just 6 years. Our priority is to train our medical professionals locally. Recently, a scheme operated by then Vice President Mahama sent 250 people to Cuba to be trained as doctors and paramedics at a cost of 106,000 Ghana cedis each. We could have trained them at 30,000 Ghana cedis each, according to the Ghana Medical Association. We will rather invest in our medical schools to train a lot more doctors here in Ghana. If good health is basic to our survival, good education is critical to our development. Education creates social mobility. Market women and fishermen, farmers and traders, taxi drivers and artisans, hawkers and porters, commonly known as kayaye, and indeed, every mother and father all hope that education will help their children escape poverty and give them access to a good life. Education is at the heart of the MPP program. We cannot transform the economy and the country without transforming the knowledge and skills of our people. Every child, rich or poor, able-bodied or disabled, deserves a good education. Currently, every stage of education, our children are falling out of the system. To our eternal shame, Some children born in this country never even make it to a classroom. Then, of the numbers that do start school, over 60% of them do not make it to secondary school. The situation has become significantly worse over the last 3 years, with even fewer children, 47%, as against 62% in 2008, passing the BECE. In some villages, not a single child passes the exam. Every year, more than 150,000 young Ghanaians, last year it was around 200,000, leave school at JHS level without any opportunities for further education or training. This is dangerous. To change the situation, we will redefine basic education and make it compulsory from kindergarten to senior high school. To ensure that no child is denied access to secondary education, we will remove the biggest obstacles that currently stand in their way: cost and access. In addition to tuition and other costs already borne by government, admission, library, computer, science center, and examination fees will all be free. So will boarding, feeding, and entertainment fees, along with textbooks and utilities. In order to ensure equity, day students will also be fed at school free of charge. Free secondary education will cover technical and vocational institutions. I know this will be expensive, but as the ever saying has it, and I quote, "You cook important foods in important pots," unquote. The cost of providing free secondary school education will be cheaper than the cost of the current alternative of a largely uneducated and unskilled workforce that retards our development. Leadership is about choices. I will choose to invest in the future of our youth and of our country. Fellow citizens, I know numbers can be boring, but these are important numbers, so bear with me. The additional cost of providing free senior high school will be around 1% of Ghana's GDP. The cost of providing free secondary school education, which includes tuition, boarding, feeding, and all the other charges, for the 2013-2014 academic year, is estimated at 0.1% of our GDP. This translates into some 78 million Ghana cedis. We have made provision for a major increase in enrollment as a result of admitting all JHS students into SHS in 2014-2015. We expect the cost to rise to 288 million Ghana cedis, 0.3% of GDP, in that academic year, an increase to 774 million Ghana cedis in 2015-2016, 0.7% of GDP. Additional expenditure on more teachers, infrastructure for schools, including expanding and rehabilitating existing infrastructure, and establishing cluster schools in areas where there are no senior high schools, will bring the total cost to 755 million Ghana cedis, 0.9% of GDP, and rise to 1.45 billion Ghana cedis, 1.3% of GDP, in 2016. Providing free secondary education will increase the total educational expenditure from the 4.1% of GDP in 2011 to 5.8% by 2016, figure which will still be below the UNESCO minimum of 6%. I am prepared to go beyond that in order to improve quality at all levels: primary, JHS, SHS, and tertiary. Countries that have taken deliberate, successful steps to improve their economies have spent substantial amounts of their national income on education. For example, in 1960, during its post-war transformation, Japan spent 21.4% of its GDP on education, and Malaysia, in an equivalent period in 1990, spent 15.3% of its GDP. On our continent, a number of African countries are doing better than us. Kenya spends 6.7% of its GDP on education. South Africa, 6%. Even tiny Lesotho puts us to shame by spending 13% of its GDP on education. We may be able to beat them at football, but not in education. Let me put this into context. The NDC admits to paying out some 640 million Ghana cedis, equivalent to 1.4% of Ghana's 2010 GDP, as judgment debts. Are we telling parents and their children that a Ghana that can afford to spend 1.4% of its income on judgment debts cannot afford to spend an additional 1.3% of its income on giving its children free secondary education? We know how to fund it. Percentage of the oil revenues allocated to the Ghana National Petroleum Company and for the funding of the budget, as well as a greater percentage from the GET Fund, will be used to finance the program. These plans can only work with the enthusiastic support of a well-trained and motivated teaching workforce. We do not have enough teachers, and many are not happy with their lot. Last year, Minister for Education said there was a 60,000 teacher deficit in the country. The NPP will attract, train, and retain young professionals into the teaching profession. It will make it easier for teachers to upgrade their skills, improve their status, and provide them with incentives. For example, any teacher with 10 or more years of service will be eligible for a mortgage scheme supported by government for a home anywhere in the country. We shall endeavor to make teaching in the rural areas in particular less stressful by providing accommodation and transportation. It is obvious that the scope of our modern lives has placed extra responsibilities on our teachers. With most families now made up of both parents going out to work, children spend much longer periods at school, and teachers have to see to their moral as well as academic upbringing. Society must recognize this and accord our teachers the necessary incentives. That is why an Akufo-Addo presidency, God willing, will introduce a teacher-first policy to give teachers the recognition they deserve. Free education must be achieved hand in hand with quality education. We shall work with the religious bodies to ensure equal weight is attached to the moral upbringing of our children. We also acknowledge the important work the private schools are doing, and we will work with them to improve delivery. Our young people need skills for the job market. We need apprenticeship schemes that teach skills and guarantee quality. We will borrow from the experiences of countries that have industrialized with the skills of artisans. On a recent trip to Germany, I explored the possibilities of collaboration so that we can bring home the apprenticeship models which have helped Germany make quality products that are famed around the world. The 2008 Education Act made provisions for apprenticeship schemes, and we will implement them. Technical and vocational institutions will be increased, equipped, and enhanced to help fill the critical skills gap required to industrialize Ghana. At the higher level, education must produce technical, professional, and managerial personnel to drive Ghana's industrialization and transformation. We shall formalize collaboration between government, the private sector, teachers' associations, and institutions of higher learning, including polytechnics, for manpower, planning, and needs, thereby address this new unwelcome phenomenon of rising levels of graduate unemployment. Put greater emphasis on research and development, science and technology, to provide the nuts and bolts for the new economy. The number of people, especially young people, without jobs in our country is frightening. Our much-touted economic growth has not translated into jobs and incomes for the people beyond the government propaganda of creating 1.7 million ghost jobs, which even the sector minister could not find. The hard truth is that the current size and structure of our economy is not big enough to provide the jobs that are needed. If we want a different result, then we have to do things differently, and we have to do them urgently. We have to make a deliberate effort to move on from the Guggisberg raw material exporting economy to a new economy that can deliver prosperity for our people. We will encourage importers and Ghanaians abroad to shift from bringing in finished products to bringing in the know-how, tools, and capital inputs that will enable us to produce finished goods right here in Ghana. Long-term solution for the stability of our cedi is industrialization. But as you know, the short-term one is to vote the NDC out. Right now, if you go to the market and just look, the absurdity of our situation is bound to hit you. We allow our fruits to rot and import fruit juice. My government, God willing, will give new impetus to value addition. In the next 2 decades, population of West Africa is estimated to reach some 500 million people. The MPP is fully committed to the ECOWAS integration project. Ghana has the potential to be at the center of economic activities for this vast regional market. Message to the youth of today is, if we start preparing now by transforming our economy, our skill sets, and our education, we will transform forever your lives and that of generations yet to come. We have to modernize our agriculture and process our agricultural products. The models implemented by the Millennium Development Authority, MIDA, which we formulated when we were in government, have been shown to work. We will use them to end the disgraceful situation of food crop farmers being amongst the poorest segment of the population. The major plank of our agricultural policy will be to achieve food self-sufficiency. Both commercial and small-scale farmers will be supported to improve their output and develop their business. The value of the minerals in our country, including salt, is estimated to be in excess of $1 trillion United States dollars. We have developed plans to add value to them. We will attract the necessary capital to mine our bauxite, to build a multi-billion-dollar integrated aluminum industry, as envisaged by the Akufo government. We will use a similar model to exploit our iron ore deposits and build urgently a new iron and steel industry, which can also process West African ore being currently shipped to Europe for refining. Presently, our oil refinery is not working. The NDC government is woefully starving it, only to import finished products. The MPP will change this. We will use the oil and gas find to build a strong petrochemical industry in Ghana, using both private and public financing, and create linkages with other business to turn Ghana into a center for light industry in our region. I believe that beyond a competent, incorruptible leadership, the best instrument for achieving economic transformation is the private sector. We shall vigorously assist all our enterprises, especially small and medium-scale ones, both in the formal and informal sectors, to grow by helping them gain I'll repeat myself if I may. I believe that beyond the competent, incorruptible leadership, the best instrument for achieving economic transformation is the private sector. We shall vigorously assist all our enterprises, especially small and medium-scale ones, both in the formal and informal sectors, to grow by helping them gain access to credit, technology, and markets. Much greater attention will be paid to indigenous and local businesses to expand and create jobs for our young men and women. Ghanaian businesses will play the lead role in public procurement. The tax and tariff systems will be restructured to promote growth in the private sector. Policies will be introduced that will encourage banks to support the transformation agenda. We will strengthen the regulatory bodies to do the job of protecting consumers and improving standards. We will empower Ghanaians to do the job of transforming Ghana. We will make Ghana the place to do business and make businesses in Ghana globally competitive. We shall forge a strong partnership with organized labor to achieve this. This is how we will create the hundreds of thousands of jobs for which the young people of our country are yearning. This is the only way to break the hand-to-mouth existence and free our people to aspire to greater heights. We can do it. All of this requires a support infrastructure. Power cuts, lack of water, inadequate roads and transport, bad drainage, and sanitation all affect business, frustrate lives, and hold us back. To accelerate our development, spending on infrastructure over the next decade will average some 14 billion Ghana cedis a year. We will do this by managing government resources and projects efficiently and attracting substantial capital from the private sector in public-private partnership initiatives. Our infrastructure program includes the development of roads, water supplies, sanitation, railways, ports, airports, and our plan to triple the irrigation of arable land and to complete a nationwide fiber optic backbone to facilitate effective and efficient ICT access. Critical to all of this will be a dramatic expansion and supply of reliable power to support the transformation agenda. Let me, in closing, mention the problem of housing. We have to resolve the appalling accommodation situation where over 50% of Ghanaians live in substandard houses, deprived inner-city dwellings, uncompleted houses, containers, kiosks, pavements, and other unsuitable structures. And the majority of tenants face the payment of huge advance rents, especially in our cities. I will commit my government to complete the affordable housing project that was started by the Akufo government and abandoned by the NDC. With the private sector, we will build more decent, affordable homes for working Ghanaians. They would range from hostels and bedsits to flats and housing. This has been a summary of a few of the essential things that an MPP government under my leadership will do to improve people's lives. Be assured that we will stabilize the sinking cedi, bring back business confidence, and make investing in Ghana attractive to both local and foreign investors. We have spent time getting our plans right. Doubtless, that must account for how the original theme of our manifesto, People Matter, You Matter, was pinched by our opponents. But I take the view that imitation is the greatest form of flattery, and we wish them well. I have a team, a dynamic and competent team, to implement plans designed to transform the lives of our people and develop in Ghana free, democratic, modern African state, one that can hold its own in a competitive world. I'm privileged to have a deep pool of talent of men and women in the MPP to draw from, as well as from the broad spectrum of Ghanaian talent, home and abroad, to turn the dreams of freedom and prosperity of our forefathers into reality. We have a clear vision of where we want to take Ghana and a detailed roadmap of how to get there. But in order to make the journey, we humbly need you, fellow citizens and fellow Ghanaians, to make a decisive choice on December 7th and give us your mandate. Together, we will transform Ghana and use all the blessings that the Almighty has bestowed on us to bring prosperity to our people and our nation. I do not underestimate the challenges we face in trying to achieve these goals, especially since many of you do not trust politicians because of the many broken promises. But I want you, the Ghanaian people, to give me the opportunity to serve you differently. I want you to trust me. I have stood with you all my adult life, fighting for our individual and collective rights. I am no stranger to you. I'm proud of what we have so far achieved in political and civil rights. The next struggle is for economic progress, transforming our economy for opportunities and prosperity for us all, regardless of the circumstances of our birth. I am strong in my conviction and confident that we can do it. Know we are capable. Let us be strong and courageous. God has not put us on this rich land to be poor. So let us change now and move Ghana forward together. I believe in you. I believe in the can-do spirit of the Ghanaian. I believe in Ghana. And above all, I believe in God. God bless you. God bless the Fourth Republic. God bless Ghana and Mother Africa. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.